if you want to find a way to start an argument, pull together product development people, that's programmers, product owners, scrum masters, agile coaches, and start talking about metrics. Believe me, you're going to get lots of opinions about metrics, lots of great content about it, but for sure, no one's going to really agree on it. And I'm lucky because yesterday I found an article, a really good one by a colleague of mine, David, who talked about how metrics are misused, not well defined, and as a result, misused. And he went on at length to critique it. And so I've got something to add in that discussion because for the most part, it was a great piece and I agreed with it with one small caveat. David talked about lead time and cycle time in product development, and he's quite right that lagging metrics like cycle time aren't really going to help you as much as people think that they are. At the end of the day, the most important metric is getting your product to market and getting feedback from customers who value what you've done, or in the case of negative feedback, don't value what you've done, and it tells you where not to go. So that's the most important metric, and also that your team can get together and get that out there, because that's really what you're trying to do, is create an increment within an iteration that you're working. Where I might differ a little bit with David is on the topic of lead time, because lead time is really, really important because it tells you certain things about the work that you've got in your product backlog. And typically, long lead times are a bad thing. And that means that you've got some ideas for work or features in your backlog that need to be kicked out and punted. So I'm going to differ a little bit on lead time because it can be very, very valuable for teams. And the other thing that and the reason why it's valuable for teams is because it basically clutters up the backlog. So ideas that hang around way too long, they're aged, they have to be kicked out or reconsidered and maybe pared down, something like that. And a good disciplined team always finds ways to do that because they're usually looking at that product backlog really, really closely, or they ought to be. The one metric David didn't talk about that I think is extremely valuable because no one talks about it, and it's an extremely important one, is the cost of delay. Now, I'll cover that in a different video, and there's some great work out there on YouTube by Donald Reinersten, and he also has an excellent book that talks at length about the cost of delay because, and I agree with him on this, it's the most important thing that you have to understand. Without an economic foundation and an understanding of the impact of the cost of delay, you really are out of business pretty quickly. So again, I'll do a different piece on the cost of delay, but you'll find Donald Reinersten, Cost of Delay, on YouTube, as well as in his great book, Product Development Flow. Thanks again, David, for the thoughtful article. I really agreed with your discussion around metrics, that it's really just, the way of people, missing the forest for the trees. So thanks again for your great work there.